Okay, today we're going to talk about how we square a monomial. So squaring a monomial, and we've sort of gone over this lesson before, so it's going to be pretty short. And it's part of the standard AA13, add, subtract, and multiply monomials. Okay, so the procedure is put each part of the term in parentheses and find the square of each. So here I have the base of this exponent of 2 is the term 3a squared b to the fourth. Okay, so there are three parts of the term. 3, the term with the variable a, and the term with the variable b. So what I want to do is I want to put all parts of them in their own parentheses. I'm going to break it up into their own parentheses. Okay, and this is the same as distributing. We did this before, but we called it distributing the exponent in. Okay, so then I find the square of each of these terms. So that's 9, and then a squared squared, that's power over power rule, and so we multiply the exponents. So 2 times 2 is 4, so it's a to the fourth, and then same here, this power over power, so b to the fourth raised to the second power is b to the eighth. And that's it. That is the square of that monomial. Okay, in the next one, all I've done, well, it's almost identical, except the coefficient here is negative. So again, I want to put them each in their own parenthesis here. Okay, notice that this thing is a monomial. It's not a binomial. Okay, you can't, if you have a binomial like x plus 4 quantity squared, you can't just distribute the 2 in. This is not equal to x squared plus 16. Okay, there's actually a middle term here that you would see when you FOILed this out. Okay, but since this is a monomial, we can just distribute the coefficients or the exponent into all of the parts of the term. So negative 3. Now be careful about negative 3 quantity squared. Okay, negative 3 squared means negative 3 times negative 3, and that's going to be positive 9. This is not the same thing as this. Okay, negative 3 squared is the same as negative 1 times 3 squared. Okay, because the base of that exponent of 2 is just 3, it's not negative. Or we could think of it as the opposite of 3 squared. Okay, so, well, 3 squared is 9, so the opposite of that is negative 9. Okay, but here we're doing negative 3 quantity squared. Okay, so negative 3 quantity squared we just saw was 9, and then a cubed squared is a to the 6th power, and then we have b squared. Okay, and then this last one all the way down here, again we have 9 squared, and then we have x squared and y squared, so that's just going to be 81 x squared y squared. Okay, and that's how we square a monomial. We have, I think, 3 more examples. Okay, this next one, so this is sometimes confusing to students because you have a negative on the outside and they think, well, what is that? So there's a couple different ways to think about it. It's best to think of that as a negative 1 as a coefficient in this case. So I'm going to rewrite my monomial this way. Well, then I'm going to rewrite it as negative 1 squared x squared, x squared squared, x squared quantity squared, and then y to the 5th quantity squared. Okay, negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1, so I'd have 1, and then these two would make x to the 4th, and then we'd have y to the 10th, but this would just be x to the 4th, y to the 10th, because that 1 doesn't need to be written there, because 1 times anything is itself. Okay, in the next example, we have the coefficient of 1/4, so I'm going to put that in its own parenthesis. Okay, and then x to the 3rd squared and y to the 8th squared. Well, 1/4 squared is 1/4 times 1/4, so that's 1 over 16. So this ends up being 1 over 16, x to the 6, y to the 16th. Okay, I'm going to take this one on another page here, so let me just, so that was 0.7 a to the, let's see, a times b to the 4th squared. Okay, so in this case, again, the coefficient, even though it's a decimal, I can still square it. So I'm just going to separate all parts of the term this way. Okay, now let me think about 0.7 times 0.7. Okay, you might see that as, sometimes I like to rewrite them as their fraction equivalents. So that's 7/10 times 7/10. Well, that's 49 hundredths. But what that really is 0.49. This fraction has this decimal equivalent. So really this coefficient squared is 0.49, and a squared, b to the 8th. And that's it. That's our last example.